Hello and welcome back to Straumann Live at IDS. My name is Dr. Artemis Adkins, and this particular session is very close to my heart because I get to spend it with the BLX core team, Marcel Obrecht, Herbert Polzhofer, and Jarry. For the last year and a half, I've had the pleasure to work with these gentlemen, these talented gentlemen, on the development and commercialization of the implant system, BLX. So we're going to talk a little bit, but first, I wanted them to each take a moment and introduce themselves to you as you get to know a little bit about the people behind this amazing launch. Marcel, start.
Hi,
who are
Artemis.
you?
Oh, who I am. No, first, thanks a lot for having me here. I mean, it's a great pleasure. So, by training, I'm an engineer in biochemical technology, and I started with Straumann. It was a little bit more than 12 years ago, and that time in the research department. So we did a lot of research with materials, surfaces, and also polymers and so on. And then it happened that a few years later that I changed to the product management department. And my first project was the BLT, which was a very exciting project for me at that time, which then actually went over to the current project, the BLX.
The way to this.
So it's really cool so far.
Yes, it is. Herbert, how about you? Who are you? Tell our audience, who are you? What brought you to this?
I'm the project manager for the prosthetic part of PLX.
Right.
And to my background, I'm Austrian born and did my PhD there. But also my father, he was a carpenter, so spent a lot of time in his workshop. And sometimes, or when I read the job advertisement for Straumann, I realized that it's a very good combination because also Straumann has this combination of the legacy of tradition, working with your hands, thinking with your hands, and the science-driven evidence base. And I think it immediately resonated with me, and I also feel very comfortable now being a project manager, again combining the experience from the customer with the evidence from all sources that we can get.
So
that's what I do now.
Thank you. And Christian. Christian Jarry. Talk to us. Who are you?
I'm a neurosurgeon and a periodontist. I graduated in Brazil. I've been very lucky from the very early stage of my career. I was very inspired by surgeons that were also very devoted to immediacy. All the treatments that we provided, from single tooth to full arch, they were all devoted to immediacy. I was very inspired by them. That's the beauty of it. You have to be inspired by people. It's from people, through people, to people, right? So I felt so compelled with how the backstage of implant dentistry works. And I wanted to do more. I wanted to not only restore patients, but I wanted to be involved in the industry side so we can help the industry produce better products that will improve the patients' lives, and that will keep the loop alive, and that was the most gratifying feeling ever. So I started at Straumann in 2017 as part of the training and education department.
Hi, baby.
And I switched to the medical affairs department. And ever since the beginning, I was involved with the BLX project. And everything is it's been a beautiful journey from the prototypes, from the first in human, preclinical, clinical studies, 2 years of incredible journey and learning that I think we're going to be able to share a good part of it today.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Okay, so Marcel, first thing I want you to share, other than our backgrounds, tell me a little bit about how this project started.
Yeah. So I really had the honor to be on this project really from the very first day. And I mean, it all started with the BLT, with the launch of the BLT. So we brought the BLT on the market, and as you all know, I mean, the BLT is a huge success. So we have a lot of customers that are using the BLT now instead of the BL, but we also had a lot of customers that actually started to use the BLT instead of any other system, any competitor system. And quite short after the start of the launch of the BLT, we realized, or we got a lot of feedback from clinicians that we weren't in contact before. They told us the BLT is a great product, but it does not really fit 100% in my workflow, to the system that I'm using. I mean, we are talking here about like fully tapered implant and these topics. And then we realized, I mean, we are going into direction. Immediacy starts to be a big topic for Straumann. Yeah. We need to go, let's say, a step further to the next level. And so we started a project to think about what could be a next generation of a BLT implant. Yep. And to be honest, I don't know exactly if it was just a coincidence or
there are no coincidences in life.
But there was suddenly on one day there was an invitation from Marco Gadola, our CEO. We should come to his office. He has something to tell us.
That'll never make you nervous.
It was quite strange. And you know, if you're called to the office of the CEO, I said,
there must be something
special. So we went there, the whole project team, together with the head of research, the head of development, and we went in, and then there was Ofir Fromovich was sitting next to Marco there at the desk. And I mean, since we worked with the BLT, we worked also, we did our competitive intelligence, we were aware, we knew who he is. I said, oh.
Yep.
What's coming up next?
We're about to do something.
Oh yeah, and I mean, this was actually then the start. I mean, we started a collaboration with him. We said, okay, let's do a project together. I mean, he has a huge experience when it comes to, let's say, fully tapered implant, when it comes to implant that are really dedicated for immediate protocols. Yep. And so actually it was at that time, from our needs, from our, let's say, customer expectation, from the market trends, and from his knowledge, what he brought to us, it was a perfect match. Yes. And so we said, okay, let's see this as a symbiosis.
Beautiful.
And continue from there.
He's sitting right there. Love you. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So now I want to talk a little bit about the company itself. My experience of Straumann has been, I would consider it career-changing, life-changing. The culture of this company is incredibly special. Between the very startup spirit that we have, combine that with this very proud legacy that we have, and add that to a global reach. It is an incredible place to go and make some things happen that have impact, that you actually feel like you're still close enough to see it happen. This is a perfect example. So, Herbert, I want to know from your perspective, what have you found very special in this experience? Because we've had some conversations about this.
Well, we actually did have some conversations, but I think you already mentioned the core of it.
Yeah.
It's, of course, we have this strong legacy. Everybody knows that if Straumann produces a new implant system, yep, it's going to be thoroughly tested and it will work. However, to have it possible to go bold and go the next step, as you mentioned, this startup spirit, I think this is very special, but it's no coincidence, because you need to work on it. And I think one of the special things that Straumann can provide is we have all those important parts of a development process in one house.
Yes.
So we are still, even though we are a huge company by now, with a lot of people involved, and we get a huge network of experts from outside, we also have a very strong network from inside.
Yes, we do.
So I just remember when I joined the product management team for this project, the guy developing the tissue level implant sitting next to me.
Oh.
And he draws from 30 years of experience.
Yeah.
It's incredibly rich.
Yes.
That you can just tell them, well, somebody told me this and that, and they say, yes, we've tried it 30 years ago, and this is the reason why we'll not do it again.
That's right. That's right.
And then you go to the first floor, and there we have the dental technicians that still do the restorations. And it's a very short distance, and you can discuss with them the different solutions. And then you say, okay, let's test it out. You go to the -2 floor.
Yep.
You go to the hydropulses.
Yep.
And there they are, the actual people doing the test. You don't send it out across the country and then get some numbers back, but you discuss with the person doing the
Actual
tests.
test. It's amazing.
What you want to achieve,
Yes.
how to test it, and they would immediately come back to you and give you the results. And it's just much more if you have this personal contact.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
this creates, next to, of course, the important processes and the thoroughness, it gives you this experience that can have very short communication lines, and you can go much bolder because you know you get the answer very soon.
Right there.
And then you can really go like, we take the big step, then we learn from it, and then we take another step, and that's the way how we develop Blx.
Ah, it's so great. Okay, so now, I love you, Ophir. So we all know Dr. Ophir Framovich, and I want to know, with his strong personality, he's fuddling with his phone right now, with his strong personality, beautiful sense of humor, and playful spirit, for a Swiss company, how was it? You want to say it again? Ophir wants me to say this again. Forgive me, audience. We're going to say this again. Okay, so I was saying that we all know Dr. Ophir Framovich, with whom we've had the pleasure to work. And he has an incredibly strong personality, a beautiful sense of humor, and you are quite playful. It's quite fun. We've danced on more than one occasion, like in a meeting room. Anyway, I want to know, for a Swiss company, what's it been like to work with a character like this one? Marcel?
Oh, actually, Ophir promised me that he will not be in the audience for this talk. So I don't know if I can
This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. He never listens to anybody.
So I don't know if I can say what I have prepared, but
Ah.
no, it's no problem. I mean, this is a very good question. It was a hot topic in the beginning.
Yeah.
And actually we already had we had some customers that asked us when they first saw the new implant, they said, is this an Ophir Framovich implant or is it a Straumann implant? And I mean, sure, it's a Straumann implant.
Yeah.
But you see a little bit, I mean, the people that knew Ophir or know Ophir, how he behaves. No, I mean, like for all teams, there was in the beginning, there was a storming phase. The storming phase was quite strong. In that case, we had really a lot of discussions. We had a lot of disputes, different opinions. But I think we managed to find a good balance at the end, with input from his expertise, from our expertise and knowledge that we had. So that at the end, it was really. We came up with a better solution.
Beautiful collaboration.
I actually remember one instance where we had the discussion, and then we had the production team sitting on the same table with the engineers, with Ophir, and of course with us. And actually it was Marco Gadola also on the table. And there we had those discussions. And I think this is very special, that you really can combine all the knowledge on one table and come to the discussion.
Absolutely agreed.
And
it's
it
quite
made
special.
it also very exciting for us as product managers, because we
you have access to
have the situation that we transmit information and we have to negotiate between different interests.
Yeah.
And there we were able very often to really bring the partners together and come to a conclusion at once, and not just transmit the information and then modify it.
Yep. Very
and it
cool.
was also, I mean, he had a very strong influence on the development and on the how the system at the end was shaped.
Yeah,
but we still went our let's say our processes.
Of course.
I mean, what we normally do when we start a new project, we did like expert team meetings where we invite people with different backgrounds, and we still did that.
Of course.
And then we got feedbacks. We consulted, let's say, Straumann users. We consulted also competitor users, but we also involved, let's say, people from the ITI already in the early stage. And then we saw there was a big discrepancy between expectations. I mean, Ophir mentioned once, if we wouldn't have all this discussion, if we just would have done what he said, we could have launched this product already at the last ideas. But I think it's better where we are right now, and we really have
it is
integrated.
a beautiful collaboration.
It is, yeah. And I would say
Okay.
now I think we have really a solid basis for
Yes.
this product and
Yes.
this system from
It's
its
a
different
beautiful
aspects.
combination of the Straumann
Yeah.
legacy and
Absolutely.
innovation and this genius brain. Okay, now, from a clinician, I have, yes. So the BLX system, Christian, is designed and perfected for immediate solutions, but obviously we know that you apply it to any treatment protocol that
Yeah.
you prefer in the clinic. I want you to talk to me about how it's been to go through the journey from development to where it goes into a patient's mouth
Yeah.
and helps the patients. You're my guy. Talk to me.
It's been an incredible journey, but you know, Straumann invests a lot in technology. That's no news, right? So over the years, you know, materials have been improved, surface have been improved, connection have been improved, all leading to long-term success and survival rates. Huh? That's what BLX brings to the table right here. Yeah? It's the combination of the best surface, best connection, best design, and best material. It doesn't get any better than that. So if we look back about a year and a half ago when we first got our European registration, the CE mark.
Yes.
So the very first BLX placed in human occurred in Norway through the hands of our friend Eirik Salvensen.
Yeah.
And the feedback was phenomenal.
Yes.
Couldn't be better. So if we look in this time frame, that is 1 year and a half to this moment, we look at the numbers and over 10,000 additional BLX have been already placed
Right.
and restored.
Right.
So we're talking about 10,000 people's lives that have been affected positively because of the work of this project, the work of this company. As a clinician, nothing fulfills me the most.
I know. Okay. Now, this is exactly what we were talking about, the perfect marriage between what Straumann brings
Yeah.
in technologies, innovations, rock solid, SL active, all these technologies and solutions to this new design. You've talked about the material, the surface, the connection, the design of the implant, and all these things. But I want to hear from your perspective in terms of legacy. How does this benefit the patient and the clinician, of course? And then I want to hear from you, Herbert, in terms of primary stability and the connection. How does this help the patient and the clinician? And from you, Marcel, I want to hear about the workflow of the BLX system, because all of it is new. So I start.
Yeah. Okay, so with BLX, we added the Straumann legacy technologies, right? So we have the best there can be in surface, as selective, leading to a faster secondary stability, added to the strongest material that could possibly be, rock solid. Huh? So when we come to the educational part, so far we have already trained about 1,000 clinicians. 1,000 clinicians, and I can't recall of one single instance where the feedback was not a big resounding,
I agree.
wow,
I agree.
this feels different,
I
I want this now.
I agree.
Huh?
Having been next to you and for a lot of those trainings, I agree. It's beautiful. Herbert,
It's a beautiful thing.
primary stability and one connection. Talk to me about why that's good for the patient and for a clinician.
Well, you could say in many respects, especially with the legacy, we've solved a lot of clinical problems. So what we also wanted to focus on with BLX is also the handling. And it's breaking my heart as product manager that we included so many features that we were never able to talk about, because
Right.
in the end, for the doctor, what they want to do is they want to have it work. And they probably don't care how many degrees we changed here and how many
Right.
degrees we changed there.
Right.
But what we in the end, and I want to still want to mention the bone sensor, because
Good.
it's such a great innovation
Tell me about the bone sensor.
that in order to improve the insertion behavior, those people that have the implant in their hand, they need to have a look at the cutting shape, because
Yes.
it's not, the cut does not go out completely, but there's a counter
Yes.
arc and the edge. And it changes how the implant is going to insert in the hard bone. And of course, it's very complex to explain. The fact is, it works. So if you insert the implant, you get the perfect primary stability,
Yes.
not even only in soft bone, but it also works in hard bone. And it took us a lot of engineering and a lot of improvement to take this basic shape and to improve it on those indications where typically the limits of those fully conical implants are.
Yes.
And of course, the other step is, once you've placed the implant, that's not the end of the the treatment, but it's actually just an important step.
Yes.
So the one connection we hear, it's a huge step forward instead of having 2 or 3 different connections, limiting also the options for your implants. We have one connection. This allows us to have different implant diameters, and you can always place the right implant for the right indication and not worry about the prosthetics on top of it, because they are also always going to be the same.
Yes.
And saving time, saving hassle makes a huge difference, makes you more efficient, and there are even clinical studies showing that the clinical outcome is going to be better if you are more experienced and if you're more smooth in your surgery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not going to only be easier for the customer, but we believe it will also result in better care for the patient in the end.
And I said yesterday to one of our colleagues, and then I'll come back to you, that when I touched it and felt it at the first time, the first thing I said was that this is the closest thing I felt to actually being in the bone with my hands, actually feeling it, that I've ever felt in 14 years of practice. So excellent job to us, development projects, of course, of making an unbelievable instrument out of this implant. You were going to say something.
Yeah. The innovative design of Blx, when we look at it, it's quite an imponent implant. So the first perception when the doctor is coming from a different system that is familiar with immediacy in general, they look at the implant and just as a glimpse, they say, well, I don't think it's going to work in hard bone, for example. This is going to push the bone, and hard bone can be pushed. It will crack. It will lead to resorption. That's not how Blx behaves. Because the design of the threads, the design of the flute, and the drilling protocol altogether, they lead to a very biology-friendly drilling protocol, biology-friendly placement, so you can adapt regardless of your skill level. That we know skill level will dictate how doctors approach certain osteotomies and certain procedures, right? So to facilitate this, the cassette has a drilling protocol that is designed for soft bone, medium type bone, hard bone, and this leads the customers to a more confident approach, knowing that first, the engineering already thought of 2 mechanisms to reduce the stress on the bone in a hard bone through Blx. The first one is the drilling protocol, right? So we have soft, medium, hard. And even if somehow you think your torque is slightly higher, you still have the benefit because the implant with the flutes, that creates a C shape. So the implant cuts forward and it cuts backwards. So if the implant is somehow still with a higher primary stability than what you wish, you can still reverse it once and twice, and you manage your torque according to what you need. So that's a beauty. That's something I never saw in any other company before.
Yes. Okay, I'm not proud at all. Okay, Marcel, I want to hear from you the whole workflow, how that has changed with the Blx.
I mean, I'm very happy hearing these 2 guys talking about the implant itself, since I'm the product manager for surgical. But as you mentioned, so we really, when we looked at this, or we started this project, we really said, I mean, with this project, we really have the opportunity to really look at the whole workflow, like every step for the surgeon, for the restoring doctor, also for the dental lab. We really aimed for every step that the experience that the user has, that we can improve this somehow. And when you look at our visuals, at our campaigns and everything, you see most of the time beside the lion, you see the screw, the implant. But once you get this implant in your practice, in your office, the first thing actually you realize is the drill set or the instrument set. So we have introduced a new surgical cassette, which is quite small and handy. We have, let's say, improved the instruments in general. We have less instruments. We have like universal drills that can be used for guided, unguided, so doctors don't need to buy different sets. We have a completely new drill design. We have drills that are sharper than any drills we had before at Straumann. They create less heat during drilling, which actually simplifies the whole procedure, for example, for the guided we have a 2-drill approach, just pilot and final, and this works. And so we included really a lot of these approaches. We talked about a completely new connection. We have new prosthetic parts, and as already mentioned, one connection means also one prosthetic line. So we have less components, less stock inventory. The
Which
BLX,
I don't have to tell you as a clinician how nice it is to have simplified inventory management.
And last but not least, also almost most importantly, is the digital readiness.
Yes.
I mean, the BLX is really from the beginning fully integrated in the digital workflows from Straumann. We have it in the cares, in our planning softwares. We will have it ready for fully guided placement very soon. So I think we have a complete system with a lot of improvements. And I think this also got confirmed or explains a little bit that a lot of people that have been using it so far in the limited market release, they talk about they fell in love, or talking about a love story with this new implant system.
Okay, so Christian,
Yep.
clinical application, we have been able to also through this implant system even further optimize an efficient immediate treatment protocol through the one tooth, one time protocol. Talk to me.
Yeah.
Tell our audience, what is this and why is it so special?
One tooth, one time is a treatment modality that allows the patient to leave the office within 2 hours after the surgical procedure with the final crown already placed. Not the temporary, the final crown already in place.
Right.
This can only be done through the combination of the features we just described, plus the benefits of the digital workflow.
Yes.
With this, we can reliably bring quality dental care in a very shorter period of time than we're used to do it before.
And you and I don't have to talk about how much patients want their teeth now, and they don't want to come back ever.
And you know, I don't want to have to look to my patient in the eye and say, I could not meet your expectations, right? I promise you, you're going to walk out of this office with your tooth in position, fully restored. And we don't want to have that feeling of looking the patient embarrassed, say, well,
It didn't work.
I'm sorry,
I couldn't
it didn't
do
work. And then we find all sorts of excuses. That's not that. So we were able to, BLX and digital workflow come to a very common step-by-step that will enable the clinician to achieve the final crown right after the
there.
surgical procedure.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So that's what BLX gives. BLX gives the confidence. I want to have my patient come toward me to give me a hug because we don't want to put a tooth there. We want to restore the confidence. We want to restore self-esteem. We want to restore his life, right? And we want to get that hug very hard.
So, Christian, is there a case report about such a case already available?
There is. We have
We're going to be longer.
we have just published at this special edition at Quintessence. There's a report with 16 cases done through One Tooth, One Time through our partners in Portugal, Hugo Madeira and Diana, and also our partners in South Africa, Blackie Swart and Paul Van Zyl.
So
For this now,
out.
all the 16 patients, all patients are happy, reporting happiness. That's all about.
Okay, last question, you guys. We're out of time, but we're going to take extra time because it's this. So, here at IDS, we're obviously launching the BLX, but I want to know for each of you, what does this feel like and what's next? Marcel.
I mean, it's absolutely the highlight of this project development. And we're also in this, let's say, in this great situation that we can now here at IDS launch a complete system. It's not that like a lot of articles are missing or we have to continue developing it. It's almost complete. So after IDS, I think with a very good feeling, I can take a few days off, maybe.
No.
A few days.
Marco would not agree.
and then I will come back, and then we have actually already full speed in the rollout for North America and Latin America. So the launches that will come up in this region will be the next highlights. And then in general, I mean, we introduced a lot of new things, a new idea, new concepts with the BLX. So we have to think about how can we make use of this in our other portfolio. How can we harmonize certain things? By talking about the drill concept. But this we will already roll out for the whole Straumann portfolio. But we also have one connection, one prosthetic line, would be also an advantage for other lines. And then design-wise, who knows? I mean, people are already asking about a tissue level-like implant. so a TLX, but we'll see.
We'll see.
There's a lot of things left to do.
Herbert, what's it feel like now, and what's next?
Yeah, pretty much everything that Marcel has said, I could also like check. I think it's very important to say that the prosthetic portfolio is complete, so it can cover all the indications. However, there's a lot of innovation in the pipeline also for the prosthetic part, and also my colleagues are working very hard on those innovations. So it's not going to be the end.
Yep.
And we are really looking forward to also include new innovation that have not been in the portfolio before, also to BLX.
Beautiful. And Christian,
Yeah.
15 seconds. What does it feel like, and what's next?
Well, from the development perspective, I think we're splitting from the boys. So from the developer's perspective, it's decreasing the amount of work. But from the educational perspective, the training perspective, and scientific perspective, the journey has just started.
Yes, it has.
It has just started. We have a brand new world to.
And I can't wait to
explore
that journey with you.
Yeah.
So, even though we are running out of time,
We are at
10 seconds for you. How is it for you? Because you're also part of the team, and we have only talked about ourselves so far.
Because it's about
And
you
you
guys.
are
This is
such an
about you
important
guys.
member, so we don't want to miss the chance to give you the word as well.
Honestly, I have had more fun in this last year and a half. I don't think you can call this work. I've had more fun in this last year and a half than I have in, I think, ever. I agree with Christian. I think our work in education and taking it onto the clinicians has just begun. And I look forward to doing that. And of course, participating in all the other launches. And I tell you what, I am home. That's the best thing I can say. I'm home. It's been a great place to come and join, and you guys are an amazing team to work with. So thank you guys for the experience. So on that note, I want to thank Marcel Obrecht. What's your name? Herbert Polzhofer. And Christian Jarry. I'm so tired. And on behalf of the 6,000 people that work at Straumann, it has been my pleasure to be spending the day with you and bringing all these key opinion leaders and colleagues to you. And enjoy the day. And for those of you at home, you're going to see a video about the project team. Auf Wiedersehen from Cologne, Germany.
Your patients all want beautiful, natural-looking teeth, and they want them now. At Straumann, we're always searching for new solutions, for different ways to meet existing and emerging needs. We knew there was an ingenious implant system just waiting to be defined, and we were going to be the ones to create it. Our journey took us down unexpected paths and challenged our preconceptions. We called on innovative implant designer Dr. Ofir Fromovich, and together we undertook to create an implant system that would set new standards for the industry. Let's hear from Head of Product Management George Reber, whose primary focus is on developments and new trends in the market.
Immediate procedures are such an important patient wish. They want to be restored as soon as possible and go back to their normal lives. But for our customers, these are demanding clinical procedures. Clinicians would like to have products which give them the maximum confidence that such interventions can be done safely. This is exactly where Straumann came in. We used all our expertise and experience to develop a system tailored to immediacy, but capable of much more. And yes, we did not invent fully tapered implants, and sometimes we are considered to be a bit slow. But I'm convinced that we have created now one of the most advanced implant systems you can get.
Head of Research and Development Francisco Fauro knew that a radical change lay ahead.
We needed to leave our comfort zone completely and create a working environment that would allow for even the craziest ideas. We invited clinicians to work with us right from the beginning. We followed up the ideas to the limits, and we sketched and verified literally hundreds of designs before we hit the final path.
And this is where the fun really began. We took the new system through not only every standard industry test, but also raised the benchmark for each of them. After that, we even added new tests to determine the limits of the implant's design and construction.
During development, more than 900 of the new implants went through over 1.8 trillion loading cycles. Run one after the other, they would have taken over 28 years. We tested our system against more than 200 competitor implants, and we continued improving, fine-tuning and retesting until every length and diameter of our implant had achieved outstanding insertion behavior in every bone class.
Heat generation is always an issue in implant surgery. By designing a new drill system, we managed to improve temperature regulation at the same time as simplifying the drill protocol.
In addition to our standard mechanical tests, we asked an independent university to test the new system under extremely high biting forces. Imaging with micro-CT under load showed that the assembled components remain entirely stable. The analysis confirms a precise and tight connection. I was very impressed by the way it worked.
So now the focus shifted to the producibility of the system.
Pour la production, le grand défi de Blx consistait à transformer cet incroyable prototype, développé à partir d'essais cliniques, en un produit capable de répondre à toutes les exigences de qualité et de précision, tout en maintenant l'efficacité. Grâce à notre longue expérience, nous avons réussi à relever ce challenge. Néanmoins, nous avons beaucoup appris tout au long de ce projet. Une fois que nous avons commencé à produire, le planning était extrêmement exigeant et nous avons dû très rapidement passer en 3 shifts.
Designing a manufacturing solution was one aspect. Product optimization continued to be another.
We worked very closely with more than 100 clinical experts. They sometimes gave us very technical feedback and big challenges, but we were able to implement it well towards shaping the final product. What we in the end developed was a single technical solution to a range of different problems and anatomical situations.
And now we have it. A brand new implant system with a single connection for all diameters, a new prosthetic concept, new drills and a simplified drill protocol. But most importantly, the new out-design results in an insertion behavior that really makes the difference.
This revolutionary system for the fully tapered segment is being used in indications that range from single tooth to fully dentalus, from immediate to conventional placement and loading. My peers are reporting to me that our system performs exceptionally well under real-world clinical conditions.
And the name of this new system? Just 3 letters. BLX. A combination of advanced implant geometry, prosthetic simplicity, and 2 best-in-class technologies, rock solid and SL active. Confidence guaranteed for you and your patients.